Welcome, one and all. It is I, the man of the hour, the man with the power, the man that makes the other podcast cower, the prince and potentate of the political parlance, your king of extreme, Phil K.O.E. And we are here to get right into the debate this evening. Now, first, let's just make sure that you are getting every beautiful sound that is my voice. Now, first, let's just make sure that you are getting every beautiful sound that is my voice. And you are! Oh my goodness, best deal in the history of ever. 2 fills for the price of 1. So folks, let's just get right into it. Like, let's be frank, there's a reason we all wanted to see how this was going to go. I'm going to be frank, PBD, kind of iffy as a moderator. I was not a big fan of this, but we're going to be going through this throughout the night. Let me know your thoughts, your ideas, and where you want to go with this, and give your thoughts in the comments as we unload. We already got a couple of here. Let's grow the farm up. Just making some comments, but we'll get to that. But folks, without further ado, let's get right into the debate.
Your name was mentioned a lot. You missed out right now. The last 10 minutes, we talked about you. There's a lot of love and respect here mutually from both parties, all 3 of them here. And then, of course, the great Joe Rogan that started this conversation. And he also volunteered, but it ended up being this format that we have here today. So with that being said, Andrew, your claim is overwhelming evidence that Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk. Opening statements, opening comments.
Sure. And what I mean by overwhelming is I just find it very convincing. I think that's what most people mean when they say overwhelming evidence. So I have a brief opening statement. On September 10th, 2025, Charlie Kirk was murdered. Many of you already know a lot about the events which occurred after Kirk's death.
Now, what Andrew Wilson's doing here is he's kind of setting up sort of a Floyd Mayweather sort of technique where if you ever watch any of Floyd's fights, he's very technical. He's always moving. He never stays in one place. He's very hard to hit, and he'll tap you with little jabs. He doesn't really go for hard knockouts. And I kind of got the feeling that Andrew Wilson was going for Floyd Mayweather in this particular endeavor. But let's let him open it.
You remember the ghoulish laughter, celebrations, and madness we saw from leftists all over, from TikTok invasions, debates, posts on social media, destruction of memorials, and things like this. Within weeks of Kirk's death, a cottage industry began to form, peddling various alternative theories on how he died. What special interest may have killed him, what nations were involved, and was our own government one of them? Because this was the first nationwide traumatic event in Gen Z's lifetime, the demand for answers was severe and palpable. The leading theory from the conspiracy verse is that Israel worked with the United States government to murder Charlie Kirk. Within a day or two of Kirk's death, Ian Carroll claimed that Israel killed Charlie Kirk, and the conspiracy caught on like wildfire. This theory was built on one misleading piece of evidence: that in his final days, on or around September 8th, Charlie sent a text message reading, "Jewish donors play into all the stereotypes. I cannot and will not be bullied like this, leaving me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause." This was sent in the context of a platforming dispute regarding Tucker Carlson. From this scintilla of misleading information, it was speculated that Israel killed Charlie Kirk because he would have successfully opposed the Iranian war. Now, that's a fun theory, and who doesn't like a good, fun conspiracy theory? I like them. But there is no evidence that Israel actually killed Charlie Kirk. And if Candice has some, I'd like her to actually show it to me. I'm open to suggestions, but to date, there hasn't been any. There is, however, tons of evidence that a leftist killed Charlie Kirk, just as Charlie feared they would. I believe Charlie Kirk, and I have the receipts. No, I didn't have a dream where he came to me and told me that the left killed him. No, he didn't come to me a dream and say, Candice Owens betrayed.
That's a bit of a dig at Candice. It's not an ad hominem attack, but he's saying, no, it didn't come to me in a dream. I actually just used my own logic. As Rush Limbaugh would say, my intelligence guided by experience to arrive at that conclusion is, I believe, the direction he's going with that.
Trade him. That never happened. In fact, I don't need dreams of any kind because I hold in my possession never before seen messages from Charlie Kirk to his security team on September 9th, 2025.
Oh,
I'm going to share the message with you today, which is the first time this information's ever been publicly revealed.
Can I just say, in terms of an opening statement, this is very strong. And especially coming with this. And he's like, I have information that's never before been revealed until today, and I hold it in my hand. Very hard for somebody to rhetorically overcome that. And so, yeah, Andrew's starting off very, very strong.
September 9th, Charlie's security team wrote to him, yes, law enforcement has been fully supportive and agreed to a security plan and posture. Tomorrow's event will be covered by both my team and the campus PD. If additional support is required, patrol units will be available. I have 11 on site. Charlie responded with this. Okay, great. Remind them that they are there for one person's security only, because I'm somewhat worried the left is trying to kill me. That was a message sent September 9th.
He was somewhat concerned. Apparently well-founded, sir. Well-founded. Goodness gracious. And also do forgive, I'm recording in the now repaired, flooded basement of Extreme. So that's why the bare walls and all. But yes, Castle K.O.E. under reconstruction post-flood, but rock and roll. We can move onward and upward.
Whatever could he have meant by that? Well, I think he meant exactly what he said. That he was worried the left was going to try to kill him. Now, we'll discuss this more later on in the debate, and maybe I have more never-before-seen evidence that exposes just how wrong and, in my opinion, idiotic many of these conspiracy theories have been. But that's what happens when you rely on what's called the evidence of the gaps. In other words,
hey, guess who from Twitch goes and asks, Phil, do you think the defense will call the lunatic Owens on the stand? She is the useful idiot because she believes it was the French mercenaries and Mossad agents did it. Yeah, like I said the last time I went live about this particular topic, I said what it's doing is really trying to take all the momentum and wind out of the sails of the Charlie Kirk assassination by just bogging it down with nonsense conspiracy theories. And so I often say, if Candice was an operative for the left in some shape, form, or fashion, how would her behavior be different? It is a fair question, sadly. But yeah, they get into that, and all she had was vibes. It's just my vibes. I think it is. I think that's how it is. It was appalling what her answer ended up actually being. I was just flabbergasted and gobsmacked.
they don't have evidence. They seem to just make up evidence. And what did they make up? Well, in my opinion, kind of whatever lined the pockets. And I think it's ghoulish to profit off of the death of a good man. But we came here today to debate, and so let's get to it. The debate topic today is, one, my belief that there's overwhelming evidence that Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk, and two, Candice's belief that there's overwhelming evidence that Tyler Robinson was a patsy and didn't kill Charlie Kirk. In sum, the audience is going to decide who has more.
Yeah, guess who from Twitch goes, we all know she was there for the 300,000. If there was no money, there would have not, Yeah, she wouldn't have bothered. She just would not have bothered if it wasn't for the money there. We all know that, and it's kind of shocking that it took that to kind of bring her out to not really defend her position, but just kind of be defensive and avoidant for 3 hours. It was really something, but we'll get deeper into
evidence supporting their theory. My theory is that the state is correct that Tyler Robinson is the killer, at least based on evidence so far, and Candice's theory that Tyler Robinson is not the killer and he's a patsy set up by the feds. To be clear, this is not a question of reasonable doubt. If it was reasonable doubt, and that's all it was, and that's all Candice was proffering, I wouldn't even be here having the debate with her. It's fair to have doubts, as a trial has yet to occur, and the state hasn't even begun to try to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. But Candice makes a more forceful claim. She claims that there's more evidence that Tyler is not guilty of murder and was set up as a patsy than there is for the state's case. And I just think that that's absurd. And she will not be able to demonstrate that in any way. In fact, she has almost no real evidence at all of her theory, whereas my theory is supported by compelling witness testimony, physical evidence, multiple confessions, all of which are independently compelling, but which are even more convincing as each piece of evidence corroborates the others. You'll notice the term overwhelming was included in both theories. This is because Candice demanded I defend my use of that term, which I think is fair, in describing the evidence against Tyler Robinson. She, on the other hand, only wanted to defend her theory as merely viable. That is, until I showed her clips in which she said she believed the evidence of her theory, that Tyler Robinson's a patsy, was supported by overwhelming evidence. Only then did she agree to defend that position. Regardless, we're both defending the claim that there's overwhelming evidence on our side, so it's...
Yeah, Andrew does this for a very specific reason. If you have to defend a claim, you are already on the back foot because you're defending. There's many times, and I do this often too because it's very useful, very powerful, when somebody's trying to pin you down on something or they're assuming your position. It's like, well, okay, everything you've just said is based on pure assumption. It has nothing to do with anything I've said, anything I've done. It's just all you assigning positions to me. And so Andrew can very quickly dismiss pretty much any attack that comes his way because he hasn't taken an official position one way or another. And so he did this with Destiny on the insurrection debate where he said, no, I don't have to give you a definition for insurrection. It's not my burden. It's your burden to do that. You think it was, so you have to provide a definition. And Destiny basically pretty much just couldn't really do anything for the next 30 minutes. Like he just was so aghast that somebody wouldn't just feed him a definition that he could attack too, because in essence, that's Twitch politics. I was kind of it always made me chuckle whenever somebody else, well, how do you define this? Or how do you define that? And I would just go, look it up. I don't know. Look it up. Yeah, I know, but I'm not going to tell you. Look it up. It's not my job to feed you definitions in a public debate. It's not my fault you didn't come prepared. Okay? And so, now granted, that's kind of what our late friend Ike Rich would say, a low point win. Like you might be winning on rhetoric, but there's no facts there at all. So it's there are a few times when you get people with low point wins, even in this debate. So let's continue.
Worth defining that term. When I say the evidence against Robinson's overwhelming, all I'm saying is that I mean that as of right now, I find it very convincing. I see almost no evidence at all, only speculation on verified claims and suggestions of things that could merely be hypothetically possible. Dreams, vibes, feelings, things like this. Almost done, by the way. I have no problem defending the state's case and welcome Candice bringing up any challenges she would like. But if I'm honest, the reason I was willing to pay the $300,000 for this debate was to finally have a chance for someone to demand Candice be held accountable for the unbelievable theories and claims she's been making. Candice's investigation is indistinguishable from a leftist operation. She couldn't be doing more damage to the right if she were trying. She uses her considerable platform to relentlessly attack one of the most influential conservative outreach organizations for young people, and she's making a mockery of the online right-wing commentary class. She's harming Republicans in an election year by dividing them. She's attacking the very organization Charlie spent his life building, and she's attacking the people he loved, including his wife. And it cost me $300,000, but today I hope that she finally answers for some of that.
Thank you, Andrew. Candice?
Did you get it out of your system?
I did.
Okay, great. Well, I'm not going to waste time with the preamble because I think I just want to get to the substance of the debate, and we'll just speak to the audience. I've obviously had an audience since we've been covering this case. People know that there was a personal friendship between me and Charlie, and diminishing the pursuit of something that makes sense.
Now, very interesting tactic here. It actually is good rhetorically if it's not noticed. And what she did is, well, I don't want to waste your time with an opening statement. And then proceeds to give an opening statement. So usually whenever you hear something like that, usually a pretty good piece of rhetoric is going to come after it. So always kind of prepare yourself. That's usually how rhetoric gets front loaded. But that one I thought was a little slippery on Candice's part. But she was playing defensive throughout a lot of this. But that one I thought was effective for people that don't understand why an opening statement's necessary for a debate, or people who don't follow debates. Like, it was well constructed, but it was also kind of silly. Well, I'm not going to give any opening statement or opening preamble, and then proceeds to give an opening statement and opening preamble.
Regarding what happened on September 10th, by throwing it to, this is just people who are conspiracy theorists. These are people who are just trying to generate clicks. I don't think that people should be satisfied by that. I want people to remember that it's important to think. We've been lied to by the government a great many times over, just the last couple of years, if you just think of the things that we've learned about our government. And I do want to say this. What's been the most disturbing element, I think, for everyone is that not only does the narrative not make any sense, which I'm going to demonstrate, I don't need to waste time with the preamble going through the points or trying to insult you or pretending that I've been running a podcast saying it's just dreams and vibes like I'm Miss Cleo. And that's the reason why it's taking so many influencers. It looks like $1 billion industry of influencers to dispute everything Candice says. Is not because I'm on my platform saying I had a dream last night. I don't think that I think that diminishes you as an argument. Obviously, we have presented a lot of evidence. You just presented a text message and said this is evidence.
That was kind of weak. Andrew did make a good point about how she was using dreams as a justification for things. And it's like, well, I think that diminishes you even bringing that up. You could tell it's something that she was like, that's a trained phrase. Like, you could tell like that was kind of like locked in the chamber, ready to fire whenever. And it just didn't land. It just didn't land. The idea is like, well, no, that actually diminishes you talking about the things that I actually said. There's moments when Candice does convince in this debate, and this was not one of them.
Well, that's how this entire thing began. You're talking about how Israel got into the conversation. It was because immediately after Charlie died, one of the first things we saw was this push to make us all think and remember how much he loved Israel. It's because the prime minister of Israel, who's fighting like a 27-front war, felt that he needed to come do a little mini tour and to be, strangely, to state that I did not kill Charlie Kirk, when nobody was having that thought that I can remember. Nobody was going, I wonder if Bibi Netanyahu killed Charlie Kirk. And then we had a round of influencers who lied and said Charlie was not changing on Israel, that he wasn't having any disagreements regarding that topic, that the day he...
I'm not just hearing it. She's calling it Israel. Israel. Not Israel. Israel. I'm sorry. I'm not just hearing that, am I?
He died, he just loved Israel so much. And I demonstrated via a text message, which you just mentioned, and you're now contextualizing and pretending it was just about Tucker Carlson, which is not true. It was a part of a broader shift that Charlie was having over the last, I would say, actually on your show, it began since October 7th, which is when I began asking myself more questions about Israel as well. And so, yeah, when all of these things happen in the immediate aftermath, and then I drop a text message after everyone is denying that, Tucker Carlson then comes out and confirms the conversations that he had with Charlie. Megyn Kelly then comes out and confirms the private conversations that she had with Charlie. People then begin to ask a reasonable question, which is, why are we lying about this? If they were forthcoming with that and they had said, hey, yeah, Charlie was starting to ask questions. I think after October 7th, it's reasonable that people are starting to re-examine our relationship with Israel. we wouldn't be here today.
She said
it has been
Israel.
lie after lie after lie, debunk after debunk after debunk. Yes, I did share that I had a dream that Charlie was betrayed. It's not a dream anymore. It's a reality. I look at what the organization has become, the people that they are partnering with, the lies that they are telling, the extraordinary people that they're sending out to say that I hadn't speak to Charlie since 2018, and it begins to look like a conspiracy. And just as a historical fact, that entire term was created by the CIA.
Does it though? Does it? Like, I'm sorry. Like, this is the thing about this debate. At no point is evidence actually like, well, I'll let you see. When pressed on it and pressed on what evidence she gave in terms of things we, as the people sitting here, could follow up on tomorrow, it'll speak for itself.
To gaslight people after the assassination of JFK. So it's not exactly one.
Now, keep in mind, this is all after she said she doesn't want to do an opening statement, but Andrew's being respectful, letting her get her opening statement that's not an opening statement in.
That makes me nervous. Like, calling somebody a conspiracy theorist is essentially saying that they demand further answers and they're not accepting the Fed slop. So I'm grateful that you came today. I don't need to, like I said, take cheap shots and discuss your manner of debate or your strategy. And I'm also grateful that you shared that you had that text message today, because
she does go on to discuss his manner of debate and strategy quite a bit. She goes, when things are starting to get bad, that's what she kind of starts falling back on, is your method in debate and strategy I just don't like.
Everybody watching knows that I have been demanding not a debate, just an open conversation with Turning Point USA. They should be here. It shouldn't be you in that chair. It should be the person that took Charlie's place, maybe Erica Kirk, maybe Andrew Cole, that he's a spokesperson. And rather than doing that, they send us another influencer. So let's see how it goes.
Just out of curiosity, are you between 0 to 100? What is the likelihood that you think Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk and killed him?
Based on the evidence right now, I don't know. I'd say 75, 85%.
Candice?
0%.
0%.
I'm at 0.
So
with what we've
PBD, I'm a numbers guy. I need some numbers here. Give me some numbers I can work with here. Like I've never understood why he feels the need to do like. I mean, okay, so she's at the 0, you're at 80%. You divide that, so you arrive at about 40%. Yeah. I'm a PBD. I'm a numbers guy. Like I don't understand what was even the point of that question, but. Again, Andrew's like, yeah, I'd say about 75. Like, he's leaving himself open. Yeah, it could be something else, but it's probably that. It's probably that, which is very reasonable. And we got Bandit here. Howdy, sir. Phil, as time goes on, watch your facial expressions. Yeah, they change, especially when the videos are coming up and she's thinking, oh, boy, what did I just say? What did I just say? But glad you're here with us tonight, Bandit. God bless you, sir.
See, in terms of the evidence, I'm at 0%.
So not only, that maybe somebody was behind him as a patsy influencing him. You're not even saying that he didn't even shoot Charlie Kirk.
Right.
I
would, if you said, was he involved that day, as I have consistently said on my platform, I would say, yes, he was. I don't know what role he played, but as the shooter, 0%.
Do you have any evidence for it?
For what? My percentage?
The fact that he didn't shoot and kill Charlie Kirk.
Yes, which I'm hoping we're going to get to all of the evidence that he feels that he has. I mean, I'm not even convinced that Charlie was shot from the rooftop on Losi that day, based on the evidence that has been.
Do you think he was shot?
I do not think that Charlie was shot from a 30-06 from Losi.
Yeah, but just shot at all.
I don't know. I think that a projectile hit Charlie, and I'm open to other people's presentations, but I have not seen any compelling evidence that Charlie was shot by a 30-06.
Can we see, maybe if we're going to have an olive branch to each other, if maybe we can establish what we consider the facts of the case to be first?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So you're not sure if he was actually shot. You're open to alternative theories.
He was definitely hit with a projectile of some description. If we're talking about, was he shot from a gun, a 30-06, I would say definitively no.
Okay.
It defies common sense to think that he had a Superman neck, and even if he did have a.
I had a chat with a gentleman that was very skeptical about all of this some time ago, and this person just couldn't believe that there would not be an exit wound that was significant. And I was like, well, and I didn't know at the time what the bullet was. I said, well, it all depends on bullet tip technology. Being kind of a gun nerd, if it was a full metal jacket, it would have just poked a hole in him, and there would have been a exit wound. Or I'm not going to talk about him, but it would just poke a hole in tissue like a deer, and it would be an exit. And if it was a hollow point, it would open up, and there would be significant blow significant tissue out the backside of a deer. And they said, but if it was a lead soft point and it hit enough bone, that might expand to something that really just did a tremendous amount of damage to the first 10 inches of tissue, and that slows down. And so while it's not what I would expect, it's not unheard of that a 30-06 would not exit a deer-sized, human-sized target. And this person just couldn't believe it. And I said, so yeah, if my guess would be it would be a lead soft point if there wasn't an exit wound. And that was actually in a text chat. And so Bennett goes, does she think someone threw a rocket chart? She's probably still on board with the exploding microphone theory, if you made me guess. Bandit, Remington core lock. It's a lead soft point. And that will expand in some instances something almost the size of your fist, depending on the bullet, but it will lose momentum fast. And so that doesn't shock me. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, not normal, but I mean, no two shots into any tissue are ever the same or totally normal. So, but yeah, and a lot of people, a lot of the Candice supporters still won't give up the exploding microphone theory. I don't know what it is. Oh, washing machine just changed upstairs above me. I was like, wait, what's that noise? But so let's continue onward and upward because it's going to be interesting.
Superman neck, which has been demonstrated. I think actually recently a YouTuber actually set up Valhalla steel cages and shot it and it went through. So under no circumstance will I.
So at least not a 30-06.
Definitively not. A 30-06 from low sea, 150 feet. No.
But you're not necessarily closing off the avenue that he could have been shot at all.
With maybe a smaller
caliber. Okay. And then there's some things that I'm going to make concessions on that I do think we need more answers on, and I'm fine with that. And we can get to those things as well. The other thing is in the timeline, one of the things that we dispute, I think, on the timeline is that you think that Robinson drove hours away to a steakhouse in the timeline. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And what's the compelling evidence that you think you have there?
Yeah,
I spoke to the owner of the restaurant, and I
don't know, like what the steakhouse thing is all about. Is like this debate was the first time I'd ever heard about the steakhouse thing, and it just kind of seemed like, oh, again, we don't have any hard evidence for this thing. But let's get
the receipt. I know the conversation that I had, and I think it's enough that it will be presented. Obviously, if this goes to trial. But yes, I do believe that he was in Panguitch, which is near his grandparents' home.
Did he give you an unedited copy of that receipt?
I have seen an unedited copy of that receipt. It was not given to me from the owner. But I want to, before we get into like all the timeline stuff, I want to address what you think is evidence so we can keep this on par with what your claim is.
I think
Girl the Farm Up goes, Valhalla is a lying douche that was disowned by his mentor, Jameson Travessel.
I think that that's a piece of evidence that's in dispute, and that's why I'm.
Yeah, but we're trying to get to whether there's overwhelming evidence that Tyler Robinson did this.
Yeah,
so
if
whether
you
then starting
if you want to use the first part of that for the internal critique,
we should go over the actual evidence that we feel.
The first reason that I think it's compelling evidence.
That makes a little more sense. Valhalla VFT was disowned by his mentor Jameson Travels and disowned by the Special Forces tube. Yeah, he's just a Candice satellite channel. Okay, one of the orbiters. Bandit goes, I'm pretty sure the steakhouse is establishing an alibi. Okay, because why is he at this steakhouse hours away on the day? So she's just not going to be down with the idea that he had anything to do with it. He wasn't even there that day. Pure patsy. That's her theory. Now, the problem is, it's not going to take very long for Andrew to really put the kibosh to that. Like, it's pretty brutal to watch.
Which is that Tyler Robinson's rifle was found near the crime scene. So I would consider that to be very good evidence. And also the fact of the matter is that I dispute this claim that a 30-06 could not have made this wound. I think that that's absurd. 150 grain Remington core lock absolutely could shatter when it hits the neck of any human being. When you say that there's some steel neck and it's a smaller caliber, you have to make a counter explanation. Why wouldn't a smaller caliber also go through bone?
It could. I didn't say it can't.
Right, exactly. So if that's the case, then ammunition is going to be the critical key here. And if we have frangible ammunition, which we do in this case, a flex tip round, well, I'm sorry, not a flex tip, a soft point round from a 150 grain Remington core lock, that's just a small jacket that goes around the actual lead piece. This thing could have split apart in air for all we know. But definitely upon impact, and we have the medical examiner who confirms this in a summary. My team can bring that up, the summarization, which means he would have to be a part of some kind of conspiracy as well.
Okay, so just to start with your point about saying that the gun was found near him, near Losey Center, or I guess off in the woods.
You know, I mean, he does raise a point there. It's not one that you typically think of, but now it moves so fast, it's almost a distinction without a difference to the target. The only difference is it won't be able to move through as much tissue because some of the power is already dispersed. But yeah, sometimes some of these less than perfectly constructed soft points, they start coming apart in air before they ever hit the target. Now, again, you're still getting hit with a bunch of bits of something that's still in one piece when it hits you. So in terms of the first 10 inches of tissue, it's a distinction without a difference. It's after that, it depends. Now, this is a Remington. Don't get me wrong. Remington ammunition is reliable. It's just they're not known for being the most high dollar boutique ammunition. I'll put it that way. Like a Hornady soft point would not come apart in the air, but a Remington might. It might.
That gun, did you watch the testimony? Did you watch the preliminary hearing?
Yeah, we covered it live. Yeah.
Okay, so forgetting what the summary of the medical report was, did you watch the testimony that was given by the Caitlin Oliver, the ATF woman, Samantha Carner, any of those people who went into the science of?
Yes, I recall. You're talking about
the bullet analysis.
Yeah, when they went into the DNA.
Okay, so that's kind of the most relevant part.
Okay.
I'm not denying, I've never denied on my platform or anywhere else that a gun owned by Tyler Robinson was found near the crime scene, right? That doesn't remove, if you think somebody's set up as a patsy, you could take a gun out of this room right now and you could walk out and plant it in the woods near a crime scene. That's not convincing evidence to me.
I concur with the fact that that's a possibility.
So you, I think, have said on a platform that you were a gunsmith.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And for how many years?
Many, many years.
For many years.
Mm-hmm.
You also said that you were an Army sniper.
I wasn't a sniper in the Army.
Okay.
And I never said that.
Sorry, your wife tweeted that you were an Army sniper.
Yeah, I don't know. Like 15 years ago, she said something.
Does it change 15 years later?
She said that it was colloquial. So
Army sniper is a colloquial term?
Yeah, I was never an Army sniper.
Okay. What did you do in the Army? Did you teach this? She then I corrected it and said you taught rifles in the Army?
No, I didn't teach rifle. No, I taught rifles as a private citizen.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And I was an NRA instructor for many, many, many years alongside my gun shop.
As with your expertise, when she
Grow the Farm Up says, and I disavow. One wouldn't engrave a Hornady round because indeed a Remington can be totally engraved like a. Yeah, but yeah, you would never engrave a Hornady round. Okay. Not yeah. Remington shattering on contact is not a quality control issue. No, but like when Andrew said that it could have even potentially shattered in air, I could see that happening with some of the lower dollar lead soft points, especially if they've got like a little, point or a little, little dip in the very front of the bullet. I could see that. Grow the farm up. Your wife treated 15 years ago. That was weird. Deflect that when I went to, she got nothing. Oh wow, she's just pure grit. Here's the thing. That was too quick of like, so you were a sniper? I never said a sniper. Well, your wife said 15 years ago, and that's how I kind of knew Candice has an earpiece in. And I don't think Andrew called her out on it because, truth be told, I think Andrew has an earpiece in too. Because of course you're going to have an earpiece in when you're going into a big time debate like this. You're going to have somebody feeding you data and information. And so later, when Candice can't name any charges, and then suddenly magically, after she delays for 2 minutes, remembers the charges perfectly, and I'm like, okay, one of y'all has an earpiece. That's what we're doing now.
Gave testimony on the stand, Samantha Carner, that there was dust and there was debris that was found in the gun barrel.
Yep.
And then when we had the person who, and this was, I believe, Caitlin Oliver, who explained painfully about the DNA, the prints.
Well, let's start with a point at a time.
I'm not done. You said something, so I'm going to finish my thought, right?
You don't want to do a point at a time?
No, well, sure. If you want to respond to, but I want you to respond to 2 points. I want you to start with 2 points.
Okay.
Dust and debris in the gun barrel.
Yeah.
Secondly, the fact that there were 5 sets of prints, 5+ actually by the end of the testimony, 5 sets of prints for which we already had the woman who worked for the FBI forensics testify that above 2 prints, if you're taking a sample, it's no longer a science, right? She testified that when they took the sample of what was on the trigger, they saw 5+ prints. And among those 5+ prints, Tyler Robinson's was the most degraded. So I would like you to explain how Tyler Robinson's prints could be the most degraded when she said, actually, you could have DNA on something that you've touched. You could have DNA on something that you've never touched. And to get DNA degradation, they've looked at pieces, items 20, 40 years on that don't have degradation. Yet Tyler Robinson's prints, amongst 5+ other prints, were the most degraded on that weapon.
Yeah. So let's get into all 3 of the claims. First,
they were still present.
When it comes to debris, firing rifle doesn't always blow the debris out of the barrel.
Okay. You think there could be debris and dust.
Yeah.
He just fired the weapon.
Sure.
Yeah. Especially when you consider in the barrel, there's rifling. So there's little grooves that spin down the barrel. And so little bits and things might even stay in that rifling even after you fire it. All it's going to really do is throw off the accuracy of the gun somewhat. And yes, dust can even stay in there afterwards because the bullet's moving so fast that the dust doesn't really even have time to react, and it gets kind of almost burnt in place. Grow the farm out goes, every gun I own is full of dust, debris, and dirt, mud, pop, and cheese melted into it. Yeah, that's the life of a truck gun. It's a thankless life. It's a thankless life as a truck gun. That's why I keep a bolt-action rifle as my truck gun, because way less stuff to clean when things go wrong.
Okay.
Not only that, he left it in a forest. Now, I don't know if you agree with me, but if you leave a rifle in a wooded area, it's also possible that debris could get in that way. But I'm not even sure that that's what the case is. I think it's far more likely that he fired the shot, it just didn't blow all the debris out, and it often doesn't. You'll find this if you take Grandpappy's dirty rifle and it's all dusty inside the bore and you go fire it, you'll often look down the bore and there's still dust.
Okay.
Happens all the time.
Okay. And the prints?
He's right.
Yeah. So the prints, we don't know all of the details on just yet.
We do. It was excruciatingly long testimony on the prints.
We don't, because they haven't gone to trial, so we don't know.
Yeah, fouling. I mean, Sometimes there's debris in a barrel because you fired it. Like if it was really dirty powder in that Remington, then yeah, that's actually going to form debris in the barrel. So yeah, Bandit's absolutely correct. Like these folks never heard of fouling before. Well.
On the print front, but Tyler Robinson's DNA was on there. You made the claim that Lance Twig's DNA was on there, and it was not.
Well, when she gave the testimony, no, hold on. First, let's go to your first point because that's wrong. We can get a fact check on that. What do you mean we don't know until it goes to trial about the degraded prints? She testified, and this is the person who took the prints.
Yes, but the problem is that inside of this particular testimony, you agree with me that there's going to be much more of the DNA analysis in the trial, right?
But you also would agree that her fact is not going to change, that among the prints, his was the most degraded.
Even
so I'm asking you to address that. How could that be possible?
Let's give it, let's just grant this for a second as a possibility that his fingerprints were degraded.
No, it's not a possibility. It's a fact. The person who took it.
I'm just granting it for the sake of argument.
You should grant it because it's a fact that she presented.
So now it's granted. So what?
Yeah.
What do you mean? So what?
Yeah. So what? What does that prove?
Yeah, I mean, like it or not, he is right. So what? So what? It's a great. It's a great deactivate because you can see Candice doesn't really know where to go with it. She's like, "What? How dare you?" But Girl the Farm Up goes, "Candice is such a crazy bee. Everywhere she goes, she leaves lawsuits and burned bridges in her wake. Turning Point, PragerU, Daily Wire. Never thought I'd agree with Jeremy Boring on anything. No kidding. No kidding." What's funny is all the people who talk smack about like, well, I mean, Andrew Wilson, he took money from TPUSA. You know who else took money from TPUSA? Yeah, the person on the screen right now. Yeah, Candice. She took a lot of money from TPUSA. Why isn't she suspect? Oh, well, that's just different. That's just different. But yeah, no. I mean, Candice, shame on you. You're making me and Grow the Farm Up agree with the Daily Wire. Good. Yeah, Grow the Farm Up. I'd take money from TPUSA. Well, here's the thing. Okay. Internet. I will debate twice as much about the Charlie Kirk assassination with any conspiracy theorist for half the money. Totally. Half the money. It's kind of like what me and Tony would say about like, hey, Saudi Arabia. Me and Tony will put on twice as many matches for half the money. You're paying $1 billion. We'll do it. We'll do it for half the money. So thus far, nothing too convincing. Grow the Farm Up because, yep, $50K in travel expenses. Now, Grow the Farm Up, this is also why my open MMA challenge, my open weight challenge to Andrew Tate ended up being a smart bet because it's like, all right, Andrew, all you got to do is find a commission that'll sign off on this open weight fight, and we do it here in the United States because that means no PEDs, and you got to come to the United States. And as we've seen, he really don't want to come to the United States if he can at all help it. So that was when I called him out for that MMA cage match. That was when I knew, there's going to be some hurdles he's got to overcome, and none of them are in the cage. Bandit goes, she acts like TPUSA makes their money selling drugs. Yeah, she does. She acts like TPUSA is all of the villains from Captain Planet and Cobra Commander combined. Okay? It's like they make their money selling drugs to puppies. It's like, whoa, okay. Like, whoa. Grow the Farm Up. We'll even put on a cage match for an extra $50K. This is, yes. LOL, Bandit. Cobra! Well, yeah, I don't want to scream it because I got to use my voice in the morning. But, yeah. Cobra Commander. Like, it's just the most annoying villain. Like, it was him and Gilbert Godfrey for like who's got the most annoying. You just want to see this guy get punched in the face voice. And yeah, Cobra Commander. He was, and so yeah, you would swear that's Erica Kirk if you were talking to Candice Owens. You would swear Erica Kirk is Cobra Commander herself. Okay, and don't get me wrong, Erica Kirk wearing the all black Rhythm Nation outfit, that did not didn't do it any favors. Oh yeah, Tales from the Crypt. I loved that show. Okay, that was peak '90s. You're up too late. Mom and dad or grandma and grandpa said you need to go to sleep, but you're up watching Tales from the Crypt, and that's when you knew you were up late. Now it's like, all right, we're getting Tales from the Crypt stories, guys. That, yeah. And again, another one of my favorite shows.
It proves that if his prints were the most degraded amongst 5 of them, you're going to have to explain how that's possible if he's the one that recently fired the weapon.
Yeah. So wait a second. You're saying that it's an
This is meta, but Bandit's bringing up an outside conversation where I noted that one of the cast members from All That just passed away today, and I was thinking, this is another thing that affects us '90s kids. And guy who's a little older didn't know who that was. Like, well, you're an '80s kid, you don't count. Meh.
possibility that if his fingerprints are the most degraded,
I'm telling you
if
to
that's the
explain it.
case-
You're the gunsmith.
Well,
so
wait a
explain
second. How would a gunsmith give an analysis on fingerprints or DNA? Do you think that I work in a DNA laboratory
So
with
your answer
fingerprints?
is I don't know. You can just say you don't know.
But
you
I
don't
did.
have to.
But I did.
No, you said so what? So
Yeah,
say
so-
I don't know.
but
I
what would
actually don't
that-
have an
what would
explanation
that
for that,
prove,
Candice.
though, is my question.
Well, I think that what it would prove is that it is a more viable theory that people who had stronger prints on the gun
Mhm.
may have used it more recently.
Did they say who else had fingerprints on the gun?
They named Matt Robinson explicitly.
Okay.
And this was a part of the testimony where she was speaking about how they got samples of elimination samples from the home of Amber Robinson,
Mhm.
Matt Robinson, and Lance Twiggs. Those were the 3 names they named.
So are you saying that Twiggs
Would you like me to
fingerprints-
finish my statement?
I just want to make sure I'm clarifying.
I'm trying to finish the answer, but it can't be clarified until the answer comes out of my mouth.
Okay, go
So
ahead.
this was a portion of her testimony
Mhm.
where she was explaining how they got elimination samples from the home. And she named Matt Robinson, Amber Robinson, and Lance Twiggs as the elimination samples that she was using. And so she explicitly said, some of them, so we can assume 2 out of the 3,
Mhm.
were their prints were found on the gun. She explicitly named Matt Robinson as someone who had prints on the gun, and then said there were 5 people that they had taken that sample from. And again, what's also relevant here.
Go to the farm up. Can I finish? Can I finish? Okay, I finished. Bandit goes, the black woman is speaking now. Oh boy. I've had people try that with me on panels. It's like, I will finish speaking. And I'm like, oh, first day on the internet, huh? Yeah, that's what happens. You get interrupted.
Here is the earlier testimony, which came from the FBI forensics analyst. I believe it was on day 2, where she said that when you're using those mixtures and those samples and you get up to 5+, it's really hard to make any sort of a determination. So both of those things are relevant. If you can't explain why his prints are the most degraded and you're saying he is the shooter, it's not really a so what. It's an open-ended question that people have a right to pursue. It's not a conspiracy. It's actually proof of my claim that there is evidence that he was set up as a patsy.
That wouldn't prove anything about him being a patsy.
It said it's evidence to support the claim that he could have been set up as a patsy.
So this is why I said earlier, so what? Because even if it's the case, this doesn't have an explanation for it yet. That doesn't actually give you any evidence in your corner for Tyler Robinson being a patsy.
Okay,
hang on. I didn't cut you off, right? You would need to actually explain how this would demonstrate Tyler Robinson. This is tied into Robinson being a patsy.
Mhm.
Are you claiming that these fingerprints were Lance Twiggs or that he had any DNA there?
I'm saying that it could be Matt Robinson, it could be Amber Robinson. That sort of information is going to come out during the trial.
How would that tie into the idea that he's a patsy?
Yes,
though?
because if his is the most degraded prints and the
The one thing that, like, I'm not going to say I know it for sure, but it would not surprise me if we ultimately find out the boyfriend. There were certain things that the boyfriend was still not being fully forthcoming about, but I could be wrong on that. I very much could, but time will tell.
Information that I shared on my platform is true, that this gun was given to Tyler Robinson as an heirloom. I had conversation with members of the Robinson family, Twiggs family, both of them. You know, like I said, we're not just dreaming. And if we're having those conversations and they told me that that gun was only given to Tyler Robinson because it was a family heirloom. Okay, so it was his grandfather's gun or great-grandfather's gun. I don't remember the difference. I don't remember which one it was. And so he got it because he's the firstborn. So, but he's not much of a shooter, is what I was told. And so he has this because he inherited it, essentially. So if I get something from my grandpa and I put it up on the shelf and I own this, you could see that could be.
How do we get to the Patsy part?
You don't let me ever get to the end of the sentence. So how could we get to the Patsy part?
Okay.
You don't ever
wait patiently till we get to
so
the
that could be a
part.
reasonable explanation as to why there was dust in the barrel, because he doesn't often shoot.
When do we get to the Patsy part? Well, if you'll just be patient. Okay. Now, keep in mind, it started 10 minutes in where it was just kind of wait for, but like we are 33 minutes into this debate and still she hasn't articulated anything about how Tyler Robinson's a patsy.
This weapon, and he is indeed a fisher. And it could also be a reasonable explanation for why we have Matt Robinson's prints on this. Obviously, Lance Twiggs, even if he has prints on things, they live together. That doesn't really mean anything. But that could demonstrate that somebody took his weapon and put it somewhere. His prints are the most degraded. Somebody else's prints, there's more presence of somebody else's prints. And that could demonstrate that somebody is taking items from his house and putting it into various places. But it also
could demonstrate nothing. So the problem that you have here is that this is pure conjecture.
No,
this is not evidence that Tyler Robinson is a patsy. It's only evidence that you have conjectured up that, well, if it's the case that these are the more degraded prints, then therefore that means must be patsy because dad's fingerprints on gun.
I didn't say must be.
Describe how this actually.
Grow the farm up, asking a great question. Do all YouTubers dip themselves in a 50-gallon drum of tube lube before they sit in front of the circle light? Why do all YouTubers look like shiny grease-covered grease balls? Click lube. Like I don't know. I like tube lube a little better. Tube lube to make sure that you've got that perfect PBD shine. Okay? All right? Let me tell you something, man. All right? PBD, you want to make sure that your skin shines as much as your hair. Okay? No one can ever tell. Are you sweating? Are you not? Are you really wet right now? Or is that how he looks when he's dry? You never know. You never know. So you got to keep the hair good and slick. And then you got to make sure the skin is equally greasy. No one can ever tell. All right? All right? Is it 100%? Is it 0%? Is it 72? Is it 43? I'm a numbers guy. I'm a numbers guy. I'm sorry. It's got to be 100%. It's got to be. Bandit, because he didn't have makeup put on. Crowder asked him about it afterwards. Oh, okay. Yeah, and that's actually why they apply makeup in Hollywood, is so that your face doesn't shine in the camera light. And it sounds like a conceit, but yeah, Ronald Reagan, he was one of those guys that he knew before he goes out, he's going to be in his makeup chair. And so did Donald Trump. It's like, nope, I'm the president of the United States. I might not be much of a looker, but I got to look my possible best because I'm the president now. And so that was Reagan's thought, and that was a lot of presidents' thoughts. Phil, he's Persian, not a New York Italian. Well, I mean, he just talks New York. Come on, man. I mean, this is the PBD podcast. Welcome. I mean, to me, there's really no world past 144th Street. Okay, that's it. I mean, I'm sorry. It's the PBD. You gotta have the grease. You gotta have the grease in your hair. You gotta make sure your skin's as greasy. You gotta make sure everything is greasy, except the suit. Except the suit. Girl with the farm up goes, I don't know, Bandit. I thought K.O.E.'s PBD was right on. I mean, like, sorry, I don't care who or where he's from. He's clearly been in New York for a minute or two. Okay? Like, he just talks New York. I'm a numbers guy. I'm covered in grease. If I dry out, I puff up. Like, no. Sorry. I'm a numbers guy. I'm from New York. The grease stays on. They don't have to worry about it because the smog of New York will provide a natural layer. You just got to supplement it with my PBD grease. I'm a numbers guy. How much for the cannoli? Like, okay, that may be sounding like that when you make me say Italian words. Yeah, that suddenly that voice sounds a wee bit Italian, a little bit. I'll give it to you. Like, yeah, let me get a cannoli, and like, you want to get some za, like, yeah. The baked ziti, yeah. Good Lord.
Links in to Robinson being a patsy.
Okay, I just described that for you, so I can explain it to you, but I can't understand it for you, so I'm going to move on from that. But to just go back to your point about this is not evidence, you can't make that claim because the entire basis for why you think that there's evidence for Tyler Robinson being the person that took the shot is based off of a hearing under Utah 1102 rules, meaning that they are doing the exact same thing that I am doing. This is the state. You said you're here to represent the state. Well, did you watch the preliminary hearing?
I didn't say I was here to represent the state.
The state's position you think is strong and convincing.
What I'm here to do is represent my own opinion.
You
which
said
is
in
that
your opening statement,
based on the evidence presented so far by the state
has presented evidence under Utah's 1102 rule.
But this doesn't demonstrate any patsy
No, that's
behavior.
very important because that rule is hearsay. So you can't say at the same time, Candice, you're not allowed to. And what that means under the Utah rule, which I'm sure you know, because I'm sure you watched the preliminary hearing and yourself understand what that means, is that the entire hearing was hearsay. It means none of that information that was presented.
Now, I will say, just pure body language analysis, PBD, you can tell he's very conscious of not moving. Andrew's foot keeps twitching. And that can mean a couple of different things. It can be a self-soothing motion because he's stressed and he's not really he's not liking where certain things are going, or it's that his mind is moving very fast and with each word she's saying, he's putting new syntax together for a response. So it could be either one or maybe a combination of the two. I can explain it to you, Phil, but I can't understand it for you. Is all the Candice Orbiters channels are calling Candice own the pickle jar. Like, here's the thing. I've used that line like a dozen times. It's not that impressive of a line. I can explain it to you, but I can't understand it for you. I've done that when I'm just being a snide shit to Tony G once in a while. Pardon my French. But when I'm just being snide to Tony G and just, I've done that. Well, I can explain it to you, but I can't understand it for you. And yeah, I'm sorry, but like Destiny Orbiters have been saying that for a long time. It is not a Candice original. Okay, that's no. And so again, these were prepared lines. Girl the front, why is PBD all man spread? It's because the grease makes his chair slippery. I mean, come on. Maybe the chair's a little slippery, but look how good I look. I got a nice suit, my hair's slicked back. I'm selling insurance. We're doing good.
Is going to be allowed, the majority of it, the overwhelming majority of it is not going to be allowed at the trial. They're allowed to present when it's just a probative hearing.
I don't think all the evidence that was put in was hearsay.
Okay, you didn't watch this case.
But not only that, no.
This is a huge point. This is crazy that you don't know this.
We can call for a fact check if all the evidence
we need more than a fact check. This was every single day. Utah Rule 1102.
They want to go there, so they said they had.
Oh, now PBD. All right, we're 35 minutes into this. about time you made yourself slightly useful, all right? I don't mean to be mean, but come on, PBD. Let's get in there a little bit. Bandit goes, nothing is a Candice original. And then Girl the Farmer goes, PBD is going to post his iPod's man spread view for the debate. Like, yeah, from my iPod, here's my man spread view. Yeah, like...
There's a medical examiner's explanation of the shooting that's in the back. Rob, if you want to pull it up, and then Candice.
That's Rob Noir, by the way.
Pull something up, no problem as well. But they're
Very
requesting
nice guy.
it. If you guys got it, pull it up so we can show it. And in the interim, is that it?
Yeah. So I'll read this.
Just what are we looking at, just so we know?
Yeah. So this says the bullet, or at least part of it, sequentially perforated the interior left of Mr. Kirk's neck, strap muscles of the left side of the neck. This is a summary, by the way. Left common cartoid on the left internal external jugular veins. The bullet also obliterated the left side C27 vertebrae, transacted the cervical spinal cord. Medical examiner observed a significant portion of Kirk's cervical spinal cord was traumatically absent. Mr. Kirk suffered from other severe injuries, including bilateral, apical, and posterior intercausal hemorrhages, pulmonary, apical hemorrhages, multiple disruptions to the thyroid, et cetera, et cetera. So the summary of the examination is that he was shot.
Okay.
That was what they were pulling that up for.
Okay. And I'm not disputing.
And there's one gentleman that I've been chatting with who still won't let the exploding mic go. Like, for some reason at this late stage, still will not drop the exploding mic theory. And I just, for the life of me, cannot figure out why. I don't know what this represents to people. Now, again, like, when I watched the footage, this is going to sound terrible. I didn't want to say anything at the time because it was macabre, but I sat there and watched it, and I just thought, when I saw both angles, I thought, that looks like a 30-06, just with the power and the reverberation on the tissue, because I've seen a 30-06, and maybe that's why I haven't given into conspiracy theories, because the events all lined up with how my estimation of the event was. And so it's always something to keep in mind. Bandit goes, the court allowed hearsay. It doesn't mean everything was hearsay. This is true. Yeah, the courts will allow hearsay in instances because, they're at one point, it's just a judge and a jury's opinion, unfortunately. Grow the farm up. So, in other words, half your neck is gone. No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. Is it someone we know? Yes, Bandit, yes. But I'm not going to say who because I don't like leaking DMs. I've just always thought that's kind of scummy when people do it. Okay? Like when Candice, after Charlie's dead, leaked some of his DMs. Just really scummy. Sorry, just really scummy. Grow the farm up. The Israel pagers did a number on people that don't know ballistics. Yeah, but those were all surface level explosions, and the damage area was large. It wouldn't have been a small little. Yeah. The people that think that's the exploding mic theory, I really don't know what to say.
That he could have been hit with a projectile. We're not disputing that, so I don't know why this is brought up as a fact check. Could you bring up 1102 Utah rule? Because this is an unbelievable point that you're making by saying that I am not allowed to infer off of evidence.
You can infer. I'm trying to follow the inference.
But your entire reason, like you asserted that you believe there's overwhelming evidence on the basis of what we saw in the preliminary hearing. The entire preliminary hearing was hearsay.
Yeah, I'm fine with your inferences.
No, you just literally said I couldn't do that. Yes, I can.
No, I didn't. I'm just saying from your inference, how do we get to Patsy?
This is how you got to Shooter. The Tyler Robinson did it.
No,
the same way that you got to
Tyler
Robinson.
Shooter from that.
Yes, you did. You again, this is something important, so we should pull up a fact check about what the 1102 Utah, and under their constitution, for the sake of a preliminary hearing, they do not have to have hard evidence. They don't have to put people on the
I
trial,
agree they
swear
don't
them
have
in.
to.
But no, that's why the entire hearing was basically hearsay. Officer Bagley
But
was
not
saying
all of it, like I said.
the overwhelming
And
majority.
again, no
I mean,
dispute.
outside of the one
But
that you don't want to give. Please don't cut me off.
Though.
Outside of that is what's in dispute. It
It's
means
not.
that your entire brand of saying you don't have evidence falls apart when the entire preliminary hearing is based off of hearsay. In fact, Lance's.
So she's really kind of just trying to dance around the question and obfuscate, and not really. She's not answering the thrust of what he's talking about.
Testimony before they had about an hour debate. Actually, maybe it was more than an hour debate before he sat, and they said, this is not going to be allowed. You wouldn't even be allowed to do this. We'd be able to cross-examine him. The questions that they're asking Lance are all leading. And what did he say? Well, I'm the magistrate under Utah Constitution, 1102. It is my job to allow all of this so we can see if the state has enough here that we can then move to a trial, which will then, they would not allow this stuff. They would say we get to cross-examine Lance. Lance
But
just
you're
can't
arguing
willy-nilly
things I'm not disputing.
But the entire substance of your argument is that people can't infer off of evidence.
No,
That's what you're saying
it's
to
not.
me. When you say, Candice,
I'll
can't
give you
talk
the
about the degraded
argument
prince, which is a
now.
fact.
Yeah, I'm not
and then
saying
infer
that.
off of that
Didn't say
that
that.
Tyler could have been a patsy.
You're just
telling
making stuff up. So here's
I'm
what the position.
Bandit goes, wait, wasn't I in that conversation? I think I remember adding the picture from before he was shot, and there was no lapel mic, or at least not on that side. Maybe I don't think you were. I don't know. I'll have to think back on that one for a minute. But Girl the Farm Up goes, Candice, tell Andrew what he knows 12 times. It's pretty bad. Imagine being married to Candice. OMG. Oof. Okay, I'm not going to read that one aloud. Grow the Farm Up. Naughty. Behave now.
I'm not making stuff up. I'm saying that I think you. Let's pull that up. Let's pull that up. I am doing exactly what the state did. I am looking at a piece of evidence, and I am saying.
But you're not showing me how you get there.
Can you describe to the audience what Rule 1102
so this,
means?
just so everybody who's watching this at home understands what I'm saying, even if he doesn't. What Andrew is arguing is that I don't have the right to extrapolate from a fact like
making it up. Just purely making it up. I'm asking based on
Andrew.
Based on
can
your
I show my evidence? You just showed yours. Reliable hearsay.
You'll get a chance.
Reliable hearsay in criminal preliminary examinations. The entire preliminary hearing that you just saw was on the basis of reliable hearsay. And what that means essentially is the people who are making the statements can just say, Patrick told me that he did this on Monday. Patrick's not here. And that is, they can allow that into the hearing. That's just because it's just meant to be probative. And so it's the state saying, here's what we have inferred. So you are allowed to take a piece of evidence, and then you are allowed to infer off of that evidence. Okay. Case in point, that's a demonstration that's a demonstration of what I just did. I said the prints were the most degraded off of Tyler Robinson. And from that, what I am inferring is that it's plausible that
Yep. Andrew's like, that's fine. You can do that. But how do you get to that inference? See, she says what Andrew is arguing. Yeah, she's trying to go again. Yeah, it's very strange how she thinks
Tyler Robinson was
Andrew's like this representative of all that is TPUSA in her mind.
Okay,
that's the point in contention.
That's not a point in contention. That's
the point in contention.
It's not a point in contention. If you're saying it's a point,
it is the point in contention.
It's not the point in contention. I'm telling you that was what the entire hearing allowed for. So the evidence that he is describing,
we're asking you
that he is using to argue his case, is all based on inference, not fact.
Great.
Inference, not fact. So what they are inferring off of the facts.
So again, we're going to take this, and I'm just going to even grant it because it's irrelevant. I'm asking how you get to the inference that even if you dispute that piece of evidence, that means patsy. I'm looking for the logical chain for how you get to that inference.
What I am telling you is it's the
Bandit. I think we're going to extrapolate. Grow the Farm Up. She does that like 10 times. Best explanation I heard from a fence-sitting Candice fan was Andrew lost the first half, but won the second half. LOL, whatever. We'll take them. Yeah, the people who said that Candice walked away looking good in this, they're just kind of deluding themselves. I'm sorry. It's just pure cope. Just pure cope. But what happened to Candice in this debate, because there's a few points where she's just shut down and she just has to admit that she's got nothing. It's sort of like the Young Turks, where there was a time when people turned to them for new ideas, and now nobody turns to them for new ideas anymore. And it's going to be kind of like when Carlos Mencia got called out by Joe Rogan. And after that, his fans were just that, the people that were going to defend him one way or another. And his fan base never grew. And after this, no one's going to be citing Candice Owens as an actual reliable source anywhere within polite society. And that's going to be the long-term effect of this debate. One of them, anyways. Grow the Farm Up goes, delusional. Yep. So, yeah. But we continue onward and upward.
Exact same way that when you tweeted, I think that this evidence is overwhelming. When they say that looks like Tyler Robinson's car, he drives a similar car. Okay, they are inferring that that's Tyler Robinson.
Can you walk me through the inference so that I understand?
It's not a fact. It's not a fact. When you show a blurry image, which you kept citing that we have images.
I'm talking about your inference that the fingerprints, even if they're degraded, equals Patsy. How do you get that inference?
I didn't say it equals Patsy. I think it is enough evidence that it should be explored.
Grow the Farm Up goes, Candice got her whole business model destroyed. It will take time, but we will look back and remember the time Andrew Wilson shut down the #1 podcaster in America for $300K. I think you're right there. I think you're right, Grow the Farm Up. I think you're ultimately going to be correct.
Which is exactly what this preliminary was in the inverse.
That's not in dispute. What's in dispute is when you said, I'm using this as evidence that he could have been a Patsy. I'm asking, how do you get the inference to Patsy from that?
Because what I am saying is that it shows that somebody else had more DNA presence on that gun than Tyler Robinson did. So it is plausible, which is all they're doing. They're presenting plausibility based off of the facts. Okay. It is plausible that somebody just took his gun and put it there. That's it.
Is there equally
that's how it works.
And is there equally 100 other plausible explanations?
I think that's the reason why most people are exploring when things don't make sense.
Got it.
So yes, at the beginning of that, this is how the court process works.
So
just so we're clear,
if there's 100 other plausible explanations,
Bandit Site, get ready. There's another mispronounced word coming up. But yeah, it's not for her. She doesn't pronounce it Israel. It's Ishrael, which is weird. Very weird.
Nations in Candice, why is it that we should go with this idea that it was a Patsy?
I'm not saying that we should go with the idea that it was a Patsy. I am saying that there is.
I thought that was the whole defense. Your whole claim.
No,
today.
My whole claim was that there is more evidence that he is set up as a Patsy.
How does that equal evidence of Patsy?
I don't know how many times I can say this. Like I'm saying that I am using the exact same mechanism that you are accepting for some reason in the Utah courtroom.
Yeah.
Right. To say, I'm going to look at the evidence and I'm going to infer an alternative theory. So you just saw the states and you're accepting it. And they have not presented any concrete facts. You listed on your own Twitter that what you found to be convincing was something that looked like his car pulled into the driveway, a blurry image.
No, I didn't.
The standard white guy coming up the steps that could literally be anyone.
This never happened.
Can we get a fact check on that? Can we pull up his tweet where he goes over the floor?
I didn't say that's what convinced me.
When you actually didn't say it's what convinced me.
The Farm Up goes, it's plausible that this pivot might fix itself. In fact, Grow the Farm Up, the pivot you're sitting at fixing itself is more plausible than Candice being absolutely right about this case. Grow the Farm Up goes, it's plausible that the AI exists. Yeah, I'm wondering when we're going to get to that point where AI's like wonders, I think, therefore I am. And dude, why am I here? And the best we're going to be able to tell the AI is, I don't know. Good luck, bro. It's plausible that SpaceX is already on Mars. Yes, I'm Elon. We're going to Mars. Why? Just to do it. just because I want to. That's the problem, is it's just to do it. There's no end goal. And that's why we haven't done it yet. Now, I've actually constructed an end goal reason why we should do it, but it would require us also colonizing Venus. And we would have to basically harvest different gases from their atmosphere, convert them into nitrogen, and send those into barges that float and then get caught in the gravity well of Mars. Then they slowly pull those to the surface of Mars. And then that's how you're going to terraform the planet. You're not going to take perfectly good resources from this living planet and try to use that to jumpstart a dead planet. Absolutely not. No. You go from another planet to this one. To Mars. Growth farm up. It's plausible that a 30-06 blew half his neck off. Pretty plausible. It's all just, we're just asking questions, and these are vibes. Grow the farm up. Come on.
But you said this is the evidence that you found to be overwhelming, and you named, I believe, actually 5 things. I think you said it was his car. You said it was.
Well, there's multitudes of things that I find.
You did say we're going to get a fact check on that. You did.
Go ahead.
You said the blurry images coming up the steps. Quite literally, when Officer Bagley testified, they talk about when I'm talking about making inference. This is the most I thought was the most absurd testimony I've ever heard. And pardon me, it was actually David Hull. They asked him a question. How did you know the guy in the maroon shirt was the same as the guy that came up the stairs later that was wearing the American flag black shirt? And he said, they're wearing the same shoes.
It's plausible that Rob O'Neill is
That's
lying.
how you decided these two are the same people. Oh, wow.
True.
What a scientific. They're both wearing Converses. Okay. That's an absurd thing to say. That is not evidence that these are the same people if we're both wearing Converses. That was what he said. That's what flew on the stand.
But I still don't understand how that would be absurd. If somebody,
it's an absurd thing.
For instance, if somebody were to change their clothes but keep the same shoes on, wouldn't you utilize the shoes to try to track that person? If
the
they were
idea that on a college campus, 2 people wearing this totally different outfits, but both wearing Converses can't happen is such an absurdity that I don't even need to argue that. I'm just going to let people deal. Why is it absurd? Just concede that point. Obviously, it's an absurd thing to say.
I'm not
I know
sure,
these are the same people because they're both wearing Converse.
Yeah, I'm not sure if in context that's what happened. But even if it is,
you can get a fact check on it.
But even if it is, again,
and it was
if we're utilizing inferences, whenever we're dealing with logic and we're dealing with making a logical inference, we're going to take the entire collaboration of evidence and then we're going to make inferences from that. You would do that with any type of logical proposition. Otherwise, you could never have a true or false claim.
But you just told me I couldn't.
So when that never happened. You're just making stuff up. So anyway, when we're talking about logical inferences, what I'm looking for is the logical inferences that you have that Tyler Robinson's a patsy based on the totality of evidence that you have.
We can keep going through your other evidence. We should find his tweet where he lists the reasons that he was convinced.
So let's start with the 30-06. I think that's fine.
Your team's looking for. Do you remember how long ago that was?
The tweets of the 5. Did you delete it or no?
No,
did you delete
tweets.
Okay, cool. I just look for. He said it was his car. It was his. It was the car, and it was definitely the staircase photos, and it was when the trial was going on.
Okay, she has it. Perfect. If you got Skylar has it. If you want to pull it up so we can see it.
Somebody said, so give me the clear evidence right here. I want you to provide it right here. All I heard from the investigator was, we believe this to be Tyler Robinson. Is belief something you go as a fact? You wrote the car pulling in. That's a totally blurry image. Robinson getting out of it. You have no idea if that's Tyler Robinson. The fact that he is seen 4 other times on camera, the fact being just a standard white boy with brown hair was seen walking up staircase. The DNA on the roof, we should discuss that. And on the screwdriver that he left behind, it's overwhelming, man.
Yeah, but that's not an exhaustive list.
Well, just so we're clear, you did tweet it.
But it's not an exhaustive.
Yeah, but just 5 seconds ago, you should concede.
You said I only said this one thing and said that was overwhelming, actually.
That's not what I said.
It is. You could even pull your own clip.
Did I say that?
Can you fact check if that was said or not? I did not hear her say.
So the thing that's funny here is we still aren't getting to any of these inferences. So
why are you pivoting? So just say you were wrong. It's cool to just say I was wrong.
I'm not wrong. So back to the tweet aspect here. It was really funny. That's not an exhaustive list of why I find it.
I didn't say it was exhaustive. I just said you said it.
And on top of no, you didn't. You said that I only said this one thing and then said based on that it's over. Well, I didn't. You didn't mention that I mentioned the screwdriver, DNA, all of these other things. You never mentioned any of that. So no, you're actually incorrect there. But on top of that, moving over to the actual evidence itself.
Are you?
Yes, I'm okay. Anyway, back to the evidence
if you're
itself.
okay.
Yes,
Actually, I'm glad you're asserting that you're
But
okay. I wasn't worried about your health. I'm just saying that I just said you tweeted this. You said no, I didn't. We got a fact check, and now you're like just gonna gas.
Oh my God. Then it goes, I can't understand why Candice wouldn't trust shoes. I don't get what that's in reference to, but don't trust anything, I guess. Grow the farm up. The old Converse. Oh, yeah. Okay, the Converse. Okay. The old Converse verdict strikes again. We all know all you got to do is track the Converse. You'll solve all crimes. Did you delete it? What a oh my God. Patrick, can you help me? My husband paid you good money for the tube grift grease. Very special PBD grease. This is tube grift grease. You can grift on any YouTube. And what's kind of funny is I was accused of being a grifter the other day, and I didn't have the heart to tell this person that's like, I have to be tricking you out of money for me to be a grifter. So it was a classic, like, you just don't know what grifter means. You just know it's kind of a negative label and you want to associate with somebody else. Oh, yeah. That kind of shoes convicted many men.
Gaslight me and pretend that
There's
said
no gaslighting.
It wasn't exhaustive. I never said that. I just said you did say this.
Zero gaslighting.
I didn't say you couldn't have said more, but I would like to address what you said in that tweet.
This is your time. If this is how you want to spend it interrogating my position, you can do it that way.
I'm just addressing what you asserted on your Twitter was like the hard evidence that convinced you was overwhelming. That's literally your debate
That's not what
claim.
you said. That's not actually, in fact, what happened in that exchange. I was here for it.
So what's your position here?
Yeah, so my position is that based on all of the evidence, which has been demonstrated, at least all the evidence to my knowledge, that I am actually not seeing anything that's compelling as an alternative theory. I'm not seeing anything which is convincing me of something otherwise than what the state is presenting as evidence. That's my position, if that's what you're asking me.
So just going back to what you did actually tweet, is it fair for me to ask questions about that?
Is that the only tweet you're going to ask me about?
Well, we're addressing your claim that the evidence is overwhelming, and this is a tweet where you listed what you felt was overwhelming. I think that's fair,
but not
right? I feel like that's fair,
but not exhaustive. Just so you know.
And I never said it was exhaustive, even though you said I did.
Sure, whatever you want.
But yeah, so going back to that, all of that, as you say to me, well, Candice, why are you addressing and making inferences off of?
Grow the farm up goes, this is the only time Andrew gets a little nicotine deficient. He needs a smoke break. That's why the foot started. You know, maybe. Eventually he does get a smoke break. They do give him some breaks, and I think he just goes right out to grab a smoke. Because I've noticed cigarette folks, about 45 minutes is about as long as they can take it before they need another smoke. It's just the nature of the beast, I've noticed. He should have lit a cigarette on closing statement. If it was like Candice is pregnant, otherwise I would say yes. But when you really can't do that and walk away the good guy on the internet. Like, it's just the way that is. 38 minutes. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, he's been debating like maybe 38. No, that's JR. You can go about 38 minutes before you need a cigarette.
The testimony.
No, I never asked.
And really, it's 30.
You're making inferences. I asked you how, with the inference you made, you got to the conclusion.
Okay, so I would like to know how you got to the conclusion, and I'm just going to throw it right back at you because for some reason you permit yourself to do it, and that's what I'm demonstrating is that you permit yourself to do it, and then you say when I do it, it's a conspiracy, right?
No.
How are you able to infer off of blurry staircase images that is Tyler Robinson?
Yeah. So in that particular case, what you do is you take that evidence, you combine it with.
Okay, this is the one that I wanted to make sure we got to tonight, one way or the other. And this is the one where this is the most embarrassing I've seen Candice We're gonna get. I think this is the one where we get to Tyler's own text about the footage.
Other evidence. So it's not just that Tyler Robinson is seen in the staircase.
Why are you calling him Tyler Robinson in the staircase? That's what I want to get to.
Yeah, because I mean, we'll just use this. If you don't agree that that's Tyler Robinson, then you would just have to humor me. I think it is, so I'm using the name.
But why do you think it is? Because you make everybody, you call them conspiracy
what I'm trying
theorists.
to explain to you.
Okay.
So if you're asking for my inference, why I think it's Tyler Robinson is because Tyler Robinson said in his text messages, you'll be able to see me on security footage at the campus. Said it in his own messages. On top of that, Twigs, yes, you can pull them up if you want to fact check that. He did say.
Yeah, Candice is shaking her head no, apparently, when that happened, like, oof. And she didn't know this. Now, keep in mind, when her earpiece fed her all 7 charges, she knew the charges. But she didn't know this. She didn't know that, in essence, like, she's insisting it's not Tyler Robinson.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I actually think I really did miss that. I'm not saying you're wrong. I don't remember him saying you're going to see me in.
Can we pull that up?
Yeah,
I think
that's
by the
not
way,
right.
Twigs himself said that he had some
on the staircase.
he had some maybe a tiny bit of doubt, but it sure looked like Tyler Robinson inside of this various surveillance footage that he saw.
So Lance, sorry.
Hang on. So there's multiple reasons why it is that I believe that that's Tyler Robinson, not just because of blurry footage.
Did you have a dream? Just kidding.
No, it's because I combined multitudes of evidences.
Okay, so let's address those.
You can tell that dream dig that Andrew did in the opening statement really messed with Candice. She did not like that. You can tell that that's been the thing that's stuck with her through all of this. So interesting. It's always interesting to see what sticks with folk. But we continue onward and upward.
Multitude of evidences. The first one we're working on a fact check on because I do not ever remember him tweeting. That's me in the stair. I mean, or texting. Texting that's me in the staircase. I think that I
didn't say that. I said I literally didn't. What I said is that he texted over, you'll be able to see me in footage at UVU. And I'm paraphrasing, but that's what he said.
Yeah. Could we get a fact check on that? The second thing you said was Lance's testimony and actually what Lance says is I'm not 100%.
I agree.
But in terms of what he wears, again, pointing out the absurdity, he wears Converses. He wears sneakers. If his boyfriend is not 100%, I'd like to understand why Andrew Wilson is overwhelmed by it. That's what I'm trying to get to. And lastly, I would like to remind you that Lance's statement would not be permitted. This was a huge part of the preliminary hearing, that they were leading. All the questions that were asked of him were leading, so they would be struck down at the actual trial. And also, I would like to remind you that he got use immunity for that. Use immunity.
I understand.
Which means that
happens, by the way, all the time in these cases.
And I'm wondering why it particularly happened for Lance and this testimony. And I would also like to point out that something that's remarkable about this, again, leaning to my perspective, that Lance has a lot more, which I have said many times.
Grow the Farm Up goes, women dwell on that grudge. She will be defending this dream until her last viewer leaves. Ooh, from Grow the Farm Up. Here's the thing. She's been kind of Carlos Mencia'd from this debate where, Carlos Mencia, after Joe Rogan confronted him about stealing jokes, there are still people like, oh, I don't care. Carlos is funny. I don't care. But guess what? That was his audience after that. That was it. It never grew anymore from there. And I think much the same has happened to Candice. Yeah, she's big now, but here comes the fall because people aren't going to go to her for ideas anymore. People aren't going to be able to cite her as a source, if you will. So, this is the beginning. This is the beginning of the downfall. And now, been wrong before, but this one's bad. This one's bad. And Andrew didn't have to do much in this debate. He had very little he had to do because Candice kind of did all of it for him.
Lance has a lot more involvement than the feds are letting us know. I think more is going to come out
that either.
Because interviewed him on September 11th. And then for whatever reason, just ahead of what was supposed to be slated as the preliminary hearing, which was initially supposed to be in May, they bring him back to do this interview, which in my opinion should have never been allowed. And I actually agree with the defense that it's a violation of his constitutional rights not to allow them to have cross-examined him. But I understand Utah 1102, do what you do. It's all hearsay. But to allow it in that way for him to just be able to also have use immunity, knowing that he's not going to get in trouble. He could literally get up there and lie about anything and he's not going to get in trouble because the use immunity was given to him in April, I believe. April 28th is when they gave that testimony to the defense. I think they shot it in like April 20th of 2026. That is not compelling to me for somebody who has use immunity to give a testimony and to say, I'm not really sure, but definitely like he wears jeans and stuff.
That's not what he said.
He did. Actually, you can get a fact check on that.
Yeah, that's
Skyler,
not,
I think
he
you
said
pulled
much
it up
more
if you
than
want to. So a couple things we have. We have Rule 801, Tyler's messages that says it's not hearsay. But first, go to what Candice is asking about. Skyler, I think you have it.
Yep, here we go.
You just texted me if you want to pull it up. You said you have the text.
Here it is.
We can put that up on the screen. Thank you.
It was me. Look at the pictures from the surveillance footage. It was me. Okay. I literally said to you, it's not an oof. I said I didn't remember this. And I'm happy to have a fact check on that. Okay. I didn't call for the fact check saying you're wrong. I literally said I don't remember that from the time
I'm just saying to you, like,
okay.
Oof. That's an oof. She's not happy. It was me. Look at the pic. Yeah. Yeah. That's him admitting that it was him in the footage. And even some people that in my own life were all like, dude, this isn't him and that's not him and this is this all BS. Like, okay. Girl, the farm up goes, she understands Utah 1102. You do what you do. Boy, howdy. Girl, the farm up, her speech sped up like 3 times faster. This is true. This is true. I'm going to go back just a few seconds here.
Immunity was given to him in April, I believe.
Yeah,
April 28th is when they
I went back like a minute. So you're going to, like Girl the Farm Up says, listen to her talk the minute she hits the Tyler Robinson confessing.
That testimony to the defense. I think they shot it in like April 20th of 2026.
Speed up.
That is not compelling to me for somebody who has use immunity to give a testimony and to say, I'm not really sure, but definitely like he wears jeans and stuff. That's
not what he said.
He did. Actually, you can get a fact check on that.
Yeah, that's
Skyler,
not,
I think
he said
pulled
much
it up
more
if you
than
want
that.
So a couple things we have. We have Rule 801, Tyler's messages that says it's not hearsay. But first, go to what Candice is asking about. Skyler, I think you have it. You just texted me if you want to pull it up.
The baseline of how she was talking before.
If we can put that up on the screen. Thank you.
It was me. Look at the pictures from the surveillance footage. It was me. Okay. I literally said to you, it's not an oof. I said I didn't remember this. And I'm happy to have a fact check on that. Okay. I didn't call for the fact check saying you're wrong. I literally said I don't remember that from the time.
I'm just saying to you, like, I'm trying to be concise for you.
And then also bring the 801 that you just said. What was the other one?
Yep. The 801.
Yeah. Candice wants to move away from this very quickly. Very quickly. But yeah, look, like, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to, but yeah. Yeah, she did not know this. She did not know this. Girl the Farm Up goes, PBD is now sitting 4 foot wide man spread. He's got some good grease, man. I gotta hold myself up on this chair without falling off. It's the only way to stop myself from falling off. It's the PBD. But yeah, here we go. Tyler saying, yeah, that was me. That was me. Candice for months has been going on about how that wasn't Tyler Robinson. And then here's Tyler Robinson himself saying it was me. And what you're seeing right there is cognitive dissonance in real life, in real time. It's when real world data does not match the worldview. And this is the one I really wanted to get into because you could just see Andrew's just like, here we go. She's just not, you can see the frustration where he realizes it doesn't matter. She's not going to concede she's wrong. She's just going to try to find a way to wriggle out. And this is when he knows. This is when he knows what the rest of his night's going to be.
Tyler messages saying it's not hearsay, if you have that as well.
PBD.
There you go.
Wait, what are we saying is not hearsay? I thought
Statements
you said
that
the
are not
messages.
hearsay. A statement that meets the following conditions is not hearsay.
It was hearsay. They said it in the trial.
Hang on.
Okay.
Okay. Is consistent with the declarant's testimony and the declarant denies having made the statement or has forgotten, or is consistent with the declarant's testimony and is offered to rebut the express implied charge that the declarant recently fabricated or acted in recent improper influence or motive in testifying. So then wouldn't that mean that a bunch of this wasn't hearsay?
So the issue with his
I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Would that mean that a bunch of this wasn't hearsay?
So the opposing party, which down the line, like I said, they talked about this for about an hour and a half, and they discussed how if Lance was in court and he was giving his first party, giving his testimony as the opposing party, whatever, all of this would be fine. They had an issue with how the questions were being asked and that they were not allowed to cross-examine him.
Mm-hmm.
So that is why his video testimony would not be accepted in the main trial. And what I said to you is this entire preliminary hearing is under Utah's 1102. So they are allowed to just use hearsay. And
no,
so the
you didn't
judge,
say
when
that.
he
You said most of it was hearsay, actually.
Yeah,
The
it was.
overwhelming majority.
Well, I mean, I'm leaning now into my opinion that some scientific aspects, which they kept asserting, like the federal rule 403 or 402, some of those parts were quite
Sounds
scientific.
like you're backtracking quite a bit.
No, I'm not backtracking at all. What do you
Yeah, that was kind of the kill shot of the first one of this debate, where she didn't know that he had said that was me. That was you could see in real time. She was thinking, how do I adapt to this? And whenever you have somebody having to deal with that kind of data, it's always, even if it's somebody that you don't agree with or somebody that you think even kind of deserves it, it's still in its own way kind of tragic to watch. But still, now, yeah, she's backpedaling from a lot of stuff, but we're going to get a little deeper into this.
Let me help you.
tonight.
Where do you feel like I'm backtracking? It literally was done under Utah's 1102.
Yeah, nobody disputed that.
Okay.
What the dispute was is whether or not most of it was overwhelmingly hearsay.
Yes,
is that the case?
it was. Yes,
Okay.
that's a fact. I'm not backtracking on
And
that at
what
all.
are the things?
How many times did you? I mean, if you watch the preliminary hearing, it's like they constantly. I'm 1102, 1102, 1102, 1102,
That's true.
1102, and the reason for that is because it's allowed. I'm not saying it's illegal. It's allowed at this stage, but I'm just reminding you that when you're going to sit across from someone and your claim is going to be, where is your hard evidence? This is what I heard, and I agree with what I'm watching. You are watching the state put on a hearsay preliminary hearing, and all of those things are not going to be allowed, right? Even when they got into witness statements and things of that nature, there's a reason why they swear you in and they say, you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth. Did you, write this statement?
I mean, here's the thing. I distrust my government as much as, any other Joe or Jane taxpayer. But I mean, this is the kind of like radical skepticism where you can't do anything. I mean, how do I know the government isn't going to sell my biometric data when I go to get my driver's license? How do I know, and they probably do, but how are you going to operate anything under this level of, you literally just can't get anything done in your life. And so when people are applying this, don't get me wrong, it's healthy in our societies, but this idea that some courthouse in Utah is in on the big Charlie Kirk assassination cabal. Honestly, this is probably a judge you probably never thought he'd ever be on TV. Okay, this is not what any of these people had in mind for their 2026. All right, this is not what they were planning on 2 years ago. So I just don't see how deep this one would have to be for it to. I don't know. We'll continue.
So it's the overwhelming majority of what you saw was hearsay because other people were representing other people's statements. They were saying they had conversations. We don't know where it came from. All allowed at this stage. Okay. But it's hearsay. So
but even a lot of that stuff may not fall under hearsay under what we just read, right?
But the evidence that you're speaking about, when you say that we're going off vibes, you don't know Tyler Robinson. Okay. His boyfriend is not 100% it was him. So I'm going back to your points that you made that this was overwhelming evidence for you. That doesn't make sense to me.
Well, overwhelming just means
You can't
convincing.
consider another option that there
Well,
could have been
hang
another
on. Do you
white
agree
guy
with me
wearing
that
Converses on campus?
Yeah, do you agree with me that I said that what overwhelming means to me is that it's just very convincing to me?
Yeah, and I find it to be completely unconvincing.
And that's fair.
Because
I understand that
I
you
looked
can
at those
find-
blurry photos
Yeah.
that they presented and said, your statement on right now is that
Yeah.
he's
It's kind of like Dexter season 2, where Dokes gets framed as the Bay Harbor Butcher, and the one like FBI Mindhunter, I forget his Lundy. There we go, the character Lundy. When he's looking around, and Deb's asking, "What? So what do you think?" And he goes, "The evidence is compelling, overwhelming, in fact." And so he's saying, like, yeah, the totality of the evidence is pointing in that direction. Let's see. Bandit goes, "Do you know who Z is?" On the other gotcha, she posted a video saying Robinson is charged with assault. Do you know who Z is? I'm afraid I don't know who Z is. But we'll get a little deeper into this one because, it's
wearing
Saturday
Converses,
night,
and he also
let's have
that's
some
just
fun.
crazy
These
to
aren't
me.
the evidence.
I do have something to do on Sunday morning.
Well,
As
you
many of
said
you know.
that in your Twitter,
That's not the only thing I've ever said on my Twitter about this case.
right? But the question that was asked of you was pretty direct.
Yeah.
Right. What did you find
this
to
is
be?
not an exhaustive list of all the things
Well,
that I
that's
find
not what you said in the
convincing.
tweet. You can tweet longer too. It's not like we're limited now to 240 characters anymore.
So anything that I tweet and all other tweets that I've ever made are now excluded because I used the word overwhelming in this one.
Well,
even though all of this information I've said so publicly over and over and over again is what informs my position for why I'm convinced on the case. That's bizarre to me.
I feel like this is Andrew versus Andrew. Somebody asked you a question. What are the points that you find to be the most overwhelming? And you answered.
You mean from that particular day of the hearing that I was responding to?
Okay, this is something you find to be more overwhelming? Let me ask you that question.
Yes,
okay,
that's what I was saying,
okay, go ahead, go on. What do you find to be more overwhelming?
Yeah.
Can we do this? Do we want to get into it, or do we want to do a quick ad break? Are you guys good to keep going, or
I'm fine to keep going, but we can also.
Would you like to take a quick break?
Doesn't
or
matter to me either
if
way.
we're going into a different topic, that may be another 30 minutes, 40 minutes. I don't want to stop you guys in the middle of it.
Let's
So
end
what
it
would
on
you
what
like
you
to
find
do?
to be more overwhelming.
Yeah. So if we're for me, it's the confessions,
Get into that in
the
a second,
text
Bandit.
messages, all of that is what I consider to be, from my opinion, that's the most convincing for me.
Okay, we should discuss the text message confessions when we get back, if you'd like to.
All right, I muted that because we don't need to. I'm sorry, but Candice's stuff ain't paying me nothing, so I'm not gonna make you guys endure that. But yeah, I'm not. Sorry, Candice, you're not paying us nothing, so we're gonna just skip right past that because. I thought it was weird that it was all Candice. Like, okay. Yeah, this is more than just a minute or two. But luckily, I skipped the video ahead enough because I'm not going to Candice you. I'm sorry. That is cruel and unusual punishment.
By the way, just an FYI for those of you that are watching The Crucible.
Okay, all right. Have you seen the Legion of Coom cartoons? Yes, I have, and they're pretty funny. And the people that are the butt of the jokes, of course, are going to hate them. But like Destiny, how he just can't ever keep his jaw still, and at one point he's got to like put metal braces on to stop his jaw from moving. That's actually pretty funny. Z is a rather Druish-looking woman on the Legion of Coom and is the head of Act Blue. Is that the joke from Spaceballs? Okay, yeah, I think I get it. Okay, yeah, I know who you're talking about now. Yeah, she's depending on the debate, she can either, I've only seen like a handful of her things, but sometimes she can be very unpleasant. Just unnecessarily from my limited experience from what I've seen. All right, there we are. Now we're back with some more PBD.
There's 30,000 concurrent there watching. Support Andrew Wilson. That's your fans of his. Click that subscribe button and help some business. If you're watching Candice, I think there's 225 to 250.
Okay, hang on. We're gonna do something here. Did you know that they're coming out with a new Spaceballs movie? Yeah. Of the cast that's still alive, they're making a new Spaceballs movie. And I'm going to go see that in theaters as soon as it drops. I might show the original Spaceballs to my daughter and take her with me. I'm not sure. Might see if Tony wants to go. Yeah. Now, for a while, they were going to name it like they did in the original, like Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money, like that, which is beautiful joke. But what's unfortunate is there's this weird deal where George Lucas said you can make the Spaceballs movie so long as you never make any toys or merchandise like that, so it never confuses with Star Wars. And so that's why I remember the Lego Ideas people. One of the people, they made the Winnebago with wings as one of the ideas, and it was really funny. But they said it probably won't happen because of that deal that Mel Brooks has with Lucasfilms. Bannon goes, yeah, have you seen the Comic-Con video where they make fun of Marvel? I haven't, but now I have to. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do a part 2 on this either tomorrow night or Monday night, because I got kids calling me, and I got a wife that needs me, and I got a family, and I got a flock that needs me tomorrow. So, folks, we're going to stop it right here, but we're going to come back to it in a few short days. Yeah, send it to me in DM. But, folks, as I'm known to say around here, all that being said, thank you for joining us here at the K.O.E. Nation for this fun get-together with all you beautiful people. And we're going to get deeper into this one tomorrow night or Monday. Be right here at the K.O.E. Nation. Like, share, subscribe. God bless every last one of you.